Hey guys, welcome back to BMW Blog YouTube channel, and once again, welcome to the Chicago Auto Show 2023. You might have seen our video with the X1. If you have not, please check that out. But for now, I wanted to bring you along to see the new BMW XM. Once again, you've seen the car before. I just had a chance to spend some time with the very same model of the Daytona 24 Hours, but now it's at the Chicago Auto Show, so I'm gonna give you one more look at the car. And as always, this is more of a walk around, kind of talk about the specs, the design inside and out. So let's start with that. Once again, this is the mineral white. It's a flat white color, something that we've seen recently, and it's a little bit different than the position and marketing color. If you recall, they used the Cape York green as the kind of the launch color, but right now they're showing the XM mostly in white, and of course we've seen it in black as well. One reason why I do like the mineral white, because it's such a flat color, it goes really well with the blacked out accents of the BMW XM, and of course it even matches the gold bronze XM badges that you see around the car. Starting at the front, clearly this is a very bold car. It's meant to make a statement. It's a very polarizing design, and we've seen plenty of comments from people that are not really big fans of this particular car. But nonetheless, if you do see the car in real life, in person, you will notice that it's a little bit different than it photographs. And what do I mean by that? The car has a really good presence on the road, and especially when you see it static, it is quite bold, it is quite massive, and especially when you see the car from different angles, you would see what was the idea behind this car. So what was the idea behind this car? Well, according to BMW, they wanted to kind of design this M Project Rockstar car, and to do that, they started with a bespoke platform. So this is not based on an existing X7, for example. It does use the same Claire architecture, but it is bespoke to the XM. Naturally, they wanted to make this different than the X7 or the X5, but not call it an X8. So clearly they are going for that G-Class wagon segment. They're going for the Lamborghini Urus segment, but it sits in a different price point and of course with a different type of design. With that being said, large kidney grille at the front. You have this illuminated kidney grille contour. You've seen that in the B-roll footage or in other videos as well. It really stands out at nighttime. Of course, you got this motorsport inspired horizontal slats. I mentioned that in my previous video as well. Once again, the idea there is really to emphasize the M brand and the sportiness of the car. It's quite busy at the front. As you can see, there are a lot of shapes out here. Very aggressive air intakes right there, air curtains, of course, air vents. And as you've seen on the X7 and the i7, for example, you are getting the split headlights. Very minimalistic daytime running lights on top. You can see it's got kind of crystal inside. They're actually quite cool looking, especially in real life. And then of course you have the headlamps. They're hidden behind this frosted kind of blacked out panel. It did change a little bit from the concept car. If you remember, this was completely blacked out, so you wouldn't be able to actually see the headlamps. But right now, probably because of regulations, they need to be a little bit more transparent. So once again, that's the front end. You can see, of course, also this very aggressive, nicely sculpted hood. Typical to M cars, of course, you gotta have this. And of course, you have a lot of lines running across. You have those two vertical lines kind of coming down, and then you have this centerpiece, which probably it's meant to be more for aerodynamic purposes, because you have this airflow kind of running across the car and out, and that probably improves the aerodynamics on the car. Now let's take a look on the side a little bit. So you can see the massiveness of the car, and it starts with the very large 23-inch wheels, massive wheels. You can see it's got a whole blacked out wheels design, red calipers right behind it. You have a unique BMW badge right here. It is not a floating cap, but you get the idea of that. As I said, really massive high-performance P0 Pirelli tires. If you look at the side view, as you can see, it's got an interesting design. It's more of a combination of a coupe crossover and an X7, for example. And you can see that roof line just kind of going all the way down towards the back, kind of tapers down there and gives the car a very athletic look from the side. Because it's not all blacked out, you're able to see the belt line. So you have this belt line running all the way till the back, so you can see it right here. And of course, it ends in this Interesting 3D shape design here. It is not your typical Hofmeister King. I'm not sure if I would call it a Hofmeister King. It's more of a reinterpretation of the iconic design element. Of course, I would have loved to see the typical King there, but it's not on this car. Plenty of other design lines running across. You can see this crease kind of just ending right down here. Of course, the idea here, as you can see, it's meant to make the car stick out a little bit more from the rear. You have this really nice shoulders, and of course this line right here that emphasizes the width of the car. Speaking of lines, there is another crease that just runs across here, and once again it kind of breaks down the design in two. It's a massive side view, so you kind of have to break down these shapes quite a bit, and especially because you have this rocker panel on the bottom, and it kind of matches with that crease line quite a bit, and it actually looks really good in real life. And of course it's quite massive. You can see right here it kind of stands out. Of course, being an M car, you are getting the M mirrors, so you can see from the front as well too, that typical M design. And as I said earlier, plenty of XM badges all around, kind of bronze, goldish. I would say probably more of a bronze color than anything else. You also have an interesting design when it comes to the door handle. It's got a more of a 3D shape here. It's a plastic, but it's really nicely sculpted. Kind of gives the idea that it's a luxury car more than a sporty car. Once again, tapered rear end, but you're getting a very solid roof spoiler. So you see here, it's not quite aggressive. And then, of course, BMW wanted to emphasize that this is more of a special M car and it's not your typical M car. So they decided to pay homage to the M1, and they did that by having those engraved BMW logos on both sides, basically engraved into the glass. And apparently they're quite resistant, so you don't have to worry about, you know, having them peeling off. You can see an inverted L shape. If you do recall, BMW likes to have the L shape, the normal L shape, but now it's kind of inverted, pointing downwards. And once again, plenty of sculpture inside, kind of 3D looking, a very minimalistic inner graphic right there. Then of course you have this black panel on top. If you look from the rear view, you can see how much it actually sticks out. The idea, of course, is to make the car look even bolder from behind. They also achieved that by having this kind of 3D shaped panel right here. So you see the reflectors, they also stick out too. Same idea as the taillights to really bring out the rear end quite a bit. Probably the most controversial design piece, especially when you look at the rear end, it's got to be the stacked quad pipes. This is the first time BMW offers stacked quad pipes in a car. We've seen the M Performance exhaust for the M3 and M4 or the M2. They do have a different design when it comes to the pipes, but this is unique to the XM. They're not necessarily better sounding from what I understood. They're really just meant to have a different design and kind of be specific to the XM. Rear diffuser, quite aggressive, as you expect to see on an M car. I would love to see these with a carbon fiber, but I haven't had a chance to actually see that on an XM yet. Hopefully they will offer that as part of an optional package. Another XM logo, once again bronze. It's got a really kind of stylish look and very luxurious when it comes to the badge. So that's kind of the rear end design. But of course, we want to hop inside and see how it's different maybe from the X5M, I mean even from the X7. So let's start at the front and then we'll go into the back seat and show you a lot more things. So come join me. All right, so this is the BMW XM. So this is the interior design. Once again, if you recall the BMW XM concept, it was quite different than what you see here. It had a very unique design. It was actually really good looking. I was hoping that BMW will use that in the XM, but of course they decided to go a different route. And what do I mean by that? Well, this essentially will mimic the upcoming X5M facelift, which will be unveiled in the next few weeks. And that car will kind of get similar features as you see in the XM. And that starts with a very large curved display. Once again, two pieces connected together. Curved display, iDrive 8. No surprise there, BMW is heading towards that with most of their cars. So naturally, it did land in the XM as well. M Sport steering wheel, M1 and M2 buttons, plenty of, you know, stitching, M stitching all around, as you have seen in the X5M and X6M, for example. Center console, Like I said, X5M, pretty much X5M Plus, I would call it. Same gear shifter here. You got the same iDrive knob, no changes there. You have two individual cup holders so you can cool or heat up your drink individually. Ambient light, of course, you need that in a luxurious car because people like to change the interior color quite often. So you see it here embedded into the dashboard, side doors, so on and so forth. As I said in the X1 video, and of course in other videos as well, you are missing the physical buttons. One thing that I loved seeing in a BMW because they're so easy to use, the usability aspect of the physical switches, it's always going to be better than you would get from a touch screen. Once again, if you want to adjust any of the climate controls, you got to do this through the climate menu there or through the voice commands. Not ideal, but once again, that's the direction BMW is going towards too. Shift paddles right here, not sure if they're carbon fiber, they look like carbon fiber, minus and plus sign, no surprise there as well. So this is the front cabin of the BMW XM. I'm gonna adjust the seat, just like in the X1 video, to my height. 6'2", 6'3" tall, 1.9 meters tall, and then with this seating position, I'm gonna go in the back so we get a better idea of the space that we have there, maybe compared to an X7, for example. So come join me. So this is the back seat of the XM, of the Project Rockstar, as BMW likes to call it. And I guess we start there with what they've told me when I spoke with the designers and also with the MCO. The idea of the project was really to offer a kind of Rockstar type of car to people, and they had to make sure that it's quite special in the back as well. And that starts with this bench. As you can see, it's got a unique shape, not something that you see in a BMW today. It is specific to the XM. You got this opening right here, so it does help, especially if you have a passenger sitting in the middle. There is a lot more room here, especially for legs and all of that. Speaking of leg room, as I said, driving position set to my height, and you can see I have a lot of room here. I would say it is comparable to the X7, and I mean, clearly at least 5-6 inches of knee room. I'm not even talking about the headroom, plenty here, probably 6-7 inches. And speaking of the headroom, you can listen to this 3D sculpted soft plastic roof line here. The liner inside, it is quite unique. It is different from the concept, which was more of a hard shell than a soft shell, but of course you need to have this soft shell for a production series car. I mentioned the ambient light at the front, so you will see it here all around, and especially at nighttime, if you close the doors, you'll get a really nice ambient light inside, and it looks quite cool. Once again, because we're talking about space, I don't know if people really care about the space in the XM, but I'm going to mention it. Plenty of elbow room, once again, because they decided to kind of sculpt inside the door, so you are getting plenty of space here. As you can see, you can kind of lean into it. Even the shoulder, it's got a really cool design, like a cocoon design that wraps around you, so plenty of room here, no surprises there. The bench is also a little bit tilted. Of course, that helps with headroom, but it's also extremely comfortable. And of course, you can lower the armrest as well if it's just the two of you. And of course, you have the necessary cup holders in there. Just like all the modern BMWs, plenty of USB-C ports. I count about 4 in the back, so each on the seats in the front. So 2 on those seats, and then of course you got 2 on the bottom there. Naturally, something that you expect to see in a luxury car. So with that being said, this is the interior of the BMW XM. Let's go to the front. Let me tell you a little bit about the pricing, the specs, and especially what's coming in the XM lineup in the future. So come join me. I'm gonna open the hood here, and you can see this is the brand new S68 engine. It's not only used in the XM, it's going to be used also in the new BMW M5, because this is a plug-in hybrid. So you have this X68 4.4 V8 engine that's paired with an electric motor. So let's just focus on this. So once again, as I said, twin turbo V8, the overall drivetrain makes about 650 horsepower, but this is not the most powerful XM that will be available. BMW will offer a BMW XM labeled red, which will make 750 horsepower, and that will deliver impressive performance even for a car of this size, because this is not a light car by any means. This one weighs over 4,000 pounds, and it is by far the heaviest car BMW sells today. What I do like about this engine right here, you can see this nice cover. You have this red inserts with carbon fiber, of course the M-Power logo on there. It looks really quite cool. You can see these braces, enforced braces. That kind of helps with the heaviness of the engine. It is nicely tucked inside here, so you can see really nice packaging when it comes to the XM. So let me close this down. Now let's talk about pricing. So this particular XM, the 650 horsepower version, starts at about $160-something thousand, and BMW will offer that XM with 750 horsepower, which will start about $180,000. Of course, with options and additional features, it will probably jump over $200,000. So this is not a cheap car by any means. At that price point, might even enter the territory of a, Lamborghini Urus, maybe a pre-owned one. So it's a tough choice for customers, but nonetheless, you should probably get behind the wheel and test this car. I had a chance to drive a prototype last year, and I came back impressed. I had a chance to push the car quite hard through the Alps in Austria, but I will have a chance to actually go and drive this car in Arizona quite soon, and I will see what it can do on very dry pavement and on some, curvy roads there. So we'll have that review coming up in the next few weeks. So BMW XM from the Chicago Auto Show. As always, please subscribe to our channel. Please stay tuned for the next video, and we'll have a lot more things coming out from the Chicago Auto Show. See you soon.